Sooner Nation, Longhorn fans, welcome to episode 166 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, before we start, a shout out to one of the great sports personalities of all time. I was a kid in the 80s and I watched Mr. Belvedere. Have you heard of Mr. Belvedere? Yes. Did you ever watch it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. The concept of the show is so dumb that this middle-class Midwestern family somehow comes to acquire a British butler who teaches them manners and how to, just be better and the whole deal. And the father of the family is Bob Uecker, who was awesome in that show. As a little kid, I had no idea that he was a baseball player, let alone a baseball broadcaster. I just thought of him as the dad on Mr. Belvedere.
And
he was awesome. He was so funny all the time. But then, of course, as I got just a little older, Major League comes out, one of the greatest sports movies of all time. He, by far, is the legitimizing factor in that film in terms of making it feel like a real baseball movie. Bob Uecker was so good as the announcer for the Cleveland Indians in Major League. My favorite line, and I've said it now for 30 years or for however long that movie's been out, is just a bit outside. When he would do that, when Wild Thing is hitting, when he's missing it by a mile, oh my gosh, just a bit outside. I love Bob Uecker. Rest in peace. 90 years old, Kevin?
It's a long life, man.
Life well lived. A life well lived. That guy was so good. Of course, he was an actual baseball player and the actual voice of the Cleveland, I don't even know what they are now, the Guardians. But he was great, dude. I love Bob Uecker. So rest in peace, man. Shout out to your family. Hopefully it was peaceful and the family's at peace. But regardless, he was a fun sports personality and a great person to have had in our sporting lives. In much more somber news than the passing of Bob Uecker, Porter Moser has yet to beat the University of Texas in 4 seasons. He is 0-7. Rodney Terry, on the other hand, for the University of Texas, is undefeated going up against Oklahoma. Now, a lot can be said about early on when Texas was rolling with Chris Beard and then in the first season of Rodney Terry. But since then, Texas has been a middling basketball team, much like Oklahoma. There hasn't been like a standout team for Texas that you can justify Oklahoma not beating in the last couple of years. And that speaks for this game that occurred last night as well. Texas 0-3 in conference coming into the game. Oklahoma 0-3 in conference coming into the game. Oklahoma having a stinker of a first half. Texas hitting almost everything they saw, which is great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oklahoma with a great comeback, a lot of effort and, all the stuff you got in Jalen Moore with like 23 points in the I think he had 23 in the second half, maybe 26 in the second half.
Would he finish with 20? Would he finish with 28?
No, I think he finished with 29. I think he had 26 in the second half. Okay. And Oklahoma outscores them 46. Oklahoma outscores Texas 46-34 in the second half. Fears has 20 points. For Texas, you're led by Jordan Pope, Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson's such a nice player. And then Tremont Mark with 15. Here's the problem, Kevin. I think I'm done.
Okay, you're out.
I think I'm done with Porter Moser.
Yeah, you talked about this in the beginning of the season. Hot start in the non-conference while playing some good teams too. But you said you've seen this story before, and once we get into conference play, it always falls apart. And it looks like you're right, so at least so far. And it's not going to get any easier from here. You haven't even played the toughest teams in the conference yet.
Porter Moser is one of the only coaches I've met at OU personally while he's the coach. Like, I met Billy Tubbs later on at some youth basketball games when I was an official, and I was able to go up and introduce myself. And of course, he was Billy Tubbs. It was awesome. Other coaches I've encountered, but Porter, I've been to the last 3 NIL collective golf tournaments for basketball, and he's awesome. He comes up to every group. He engages, spends time, talks to you. He's very, very candid individual, very honest about what's going on in the world of NIL, in the world of his roster, all the things. He's irreverent. He's funny. He's a real dude. Okay, he's not. I don't think he's a poser or anything like that. I really like what he's about as a person. You can't go 0-7 against Texas.
No.
You in basketball. In basketball. You can't do it. In addition, you can't go 0-4 in the SEC. Oklahoma will not be making the tournament. I hope I'm wrong. My God, I hope that the world completely shifts up and down on me and everybody can go, oh, well, we're not making the tournament, dude. Have you seen the rest of the record? Come on, stop.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you got, you play a lot of teams, but you still play Arkansas, which they're not great, but it's still Calipari. You got A&M again. Then you got Auburn.
Number 1, Auburn.
At Auburn, by the way, on the road. Then you got Tennessee.
Number 4. Number 4.
Then you've got Florida later on this year on the road. Mississippi State comes to town.
We got to get to 20 wins. There's not 7 wins there. We got to get to 20 wins. There's not 7 wins.
Texas too.
Texas is 12-5. Texas is not a great. This is not a great version of Texas.
No, it's not.
I mean, this could.
I don't expect them to make the tournament either. They might get in, but I don't expect it.
Yeah, Rodney Terry. I don't know and you can maybe give some perspective. But Oklahoma fan, we are. Even the Sunshine Pumpers. I will be on the radio tomorrow morning with Toby Rowland. Okay, the most positive, maybe person I've ever been around, but seriously, as an Oklahoma representative, right? He's the voice of the Sooners. He is the most positive spokesperson for the state of OU sports. Would you agree with that? You've met Toby before. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I would.
He's grasping at straws to try to come up with some positivity to describe the tenure of Porter Moser.
Yeah, it's tough. Has he made the tournament yet?
No, Kev, no. He has to make the tournament this year, or he's fired. He's not making the tournament, dude.
That's tough, man. Yeah, you can't have 4 straight seasons without making the tournament once.
Man, dude, it's 68 teams. This is not the college football playoff. Even the new one with 12 teams. Okay, this is 68. Bad teams make the tournament.
Yeah. You can back teams get in.
Dude, every single year being ranked in the top 25 going into the conference. And just look, did they show fight? Did they show heart? Listen, it can be as simple as he doesn't recruit bigs very well. That could be the answer. Because Godwin, sure, Godwin's fine. He doesn't need to be a starter in the SEC. 1 point, Kevin. 1 point against Texas.
And 2 rebounds.
Oh, don't even get me started about it. I don't know what the final rebounding was, but Oklahoma hadn't been a good rebounding team in years. But yes, that's a great point. 1 point. So then you got Wagway. Okay, have you watched Wagway play at all? Have you seen any Oklahoma basketball? And I
watched last night.
Wagway looks like he should be good.
He does. He certainly looks the part, that's for sure.
3 points.
Yeah.
And this isn't unique. This Texas game is not unique for the performance of our bigs. And it's the reason we lost the Georgia game. And it's going to be the reason we lose a lot of games. So, look, like if I'm trying to pinpoint what is wrong with Porter Moser's coaching philosophy or whatever, he doesn't recruit very good bigs.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can start there.
Yeah.
Now, other things, I don't think he's a good game manager, because there was a point last night where we had a final possession down 3, didn't even get a shot up. That has happened consistently over the last 3.5 seasons.
And that inbounds play,
no, he's
you're
terrible.
going all the way across the court, and it looked like it was designed to go that way.
Yeah,
that would have taken a perfect pass, and it was just easily intercepted by Texas. So
the only late game play that I can remember working for Porter Moser wasn't executed in the manner in which he drew it up, and it was McCollum's shot against OSU last year.
Yeah.
And that's not how he drew it up.
Yeah, that just
it was McCollum, right? Am I remembering that right, McCollum?
I think so. I certainly remember the shot there.
Yeah, but that wasn't how he drew. They even talked about it. Oh, that's not how he drew it up. He, it wasn't there, and they switched and this, and he had to kind of improvise, and he throws an off-balance 3-point shot up to beat Oklahoma State. Great. It was great. I love that stuff. Great. Yeah, it's almost a further indictment of his inability to draw up an into-game situation play.
Yeah, that was just on the players for making it work.
So I don't think he's a very good end-of-game coach. He can't get bigs, and his teams, whether it's him or some mitigating factor, do not get better as the year progresses. They just don't. It's the crazy. I've never seen it.
That's frustrating.
Right? Other teams
regressing.
So, I'm not saying, well, and you know what? I'm not even saying we're regressing, right? But when the line stays flat and everybody else is getting better,
then
it's whatever, dude. Look, let me ask you this. You can tell I'm a little fired up about this. Oklahoma has not been good at football 2 out of the last 3 years. And the middle year was with a cake schedule. We did beat Texas. I watched the highlight of that the other day. It felt so good. But outside of that Texas game, I don't think Brent Venables has beat a ranked team. And I don't know if he has. I don't think he has.
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Thank you. And but we haven't been very good, right?
Correct.
Basketball, we have not made the tournament in 3 years. We're not going to make it this year. Haven't beaten Texas in 7 tries. And the Texas team, huh?
8 tries.
8 tries. And y'all are. I'm not knocking Texas, but this isn't a great version of Texas.
We went to the Elite Eight in 1 year. But other than that, we've been a first round, second round tops.
These aren't great versions of Texas.
No.
When is it appropriate to ask if Joe Castiglione is not living up to what he once was? Are we there yet?
I would be.
Would you really?
Yeah. I would at least have the thought.
Wow. That's insane, right? Because at a point in time, he was the best athletic director in the country, circa 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the Bob Stoops hire was a grand slam. Right. And then having Lincoln Riley there and them kind of making the decision to elevate him to head coach when Bob Stoops decided to retire. You get credit for that. But
hiring Lon Kruger was kind of a coup. The Jeff Capel one, they made the Elite Eight. I still don't know that it worked out though. Kind of flamed out.
Now Gasso was already here, right? She was already at OU.
Gasso was already here. I mean, after that, look, I mean, in the non-revenue sports, KJ Kindler is the best in the business. She's the absolute best gymnastics coach in the country. Ryan Hibble is a hell of a golf coach. They perform very well throughout the year. Their tennis teams, both men and women's, are really, really good. Everybody likes Skip Johnson at OU. He made the finals of the World Series a couple years ago. So He is a very effective and continues to be an effective athletic director. But nobody cares about non-revenue sports. This is about basketball and football.
Yeah.
And we are not any good. And maybe this is just like a unfortunate reaction to what I saw yesterday. But God dang it, dude. I am so frustrated. And I grew up, we talk about this all the time. I grew up as an OU basketball fan living in San Antonio, Texas, and was very comfortable wearing my OU stuff around as a basketball fan.
Yeah,
Like,
y'all
we were
really good.
a good basketball team, consistently good. And I don't know what the hell we are right now. I don't know, dude. I'm frustrated. All right, you got any thoughts on Texas basketball? I mean, or is it about?
No, man, I don't know how good we are, but hey, I think that's 4 or 5 straight here in Norman, so I'm happy about that.
Well, great. All right, college football playoff. Notre Dame and Ohio State in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on January 20th. Notre Dame's an 8.5-point dog, Kevin. Over under is 46.5. They expect it to be a low-scoring game. I've just got some talking points here, and I want you to kind of just respond. Let's start with this first question. Does Notre Dame have enough offense to beat Ohio State?
Man, it's going to take a really good effort. They're going to really have to run the ball well and control the clock, and they're going to have to hit a few big plays in the passing game. So just on paper, no, it's a bit of a stretch to expect. They haven't been dynamic all season.
We know they can run the ball. We know they can run the ball. And then Riley Leonard is pretty effective runner for what he is. Pretty effective runner. But when you start saying they need to make some big plays in the passing game, that's where you lose me. And I'm going for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I am going for Notre Dame. Listen, dude, if you want some big passing plays, we talked about this. Put in Angeli or whatever his name was, the backup, because that dude was slinging lasers out there.
Man, wasn't he though? He was so accurate.
He was like 4 for 5 or 6 or 5 for 6 or whatever on that drive, and he looked really good. I just don't think Riley Leonard's that guy. I think he's a gamer, and obviously he's gotten them to where they need to be, and leader and tough and all the things. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, all that stuff. I'd like him to be my guy. This year, if I had to look at this year, he had a little Jackson Arnold in him, or Jackson Arnold had a little bit of that Riley Leonard in him in certain games, a la the Alabama game.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from the kid. I'm just saying, up against Ohio State's defense, I think that is a really big ask to say. I mean, over/under passing yards to beat Ohio State. I'll give you a number. 225. If they go over 225, can they beat Ohio State?
Yes, if they also run the ball well. They can keep them off balance. That's what it's going to come down to. Can they run the ball and can they control the clock? There's a path there, I think, for them winning this game. They're going to have a defensive performance that is at the very least as good as what Texas showed against Ohio State, which I'm still proud of that defensive effort besides the spring pass at the end of the first half. If they can have at least that sort of effort.
That's my next question. That's a great lead into my next question. What did Texas do defensively that Notre Dame could copy on defense?
Okay, number one, have a little bit of a bracket around Jeremiah Smith and say, listen, we know how good you are. You can destroy a game. I mean, he blew both of the Tennessee game and the Oregon game wide open with big plays early in the game. So say you're not going to beat us deep. All right. And then if you dedicate an extra safety to the passing game, can you slow down the run with a light defensive box?
Notre Dame could do that. I
think they can. Now they are missing one of their best defensive linemen. Yeah.
Yeah, so the big white boy, right?
Texas, the benefit for Texas this year is the depth that they had on the defensive line. They went 5 or 6 deep at defensive tackle alone. Guys that they can keep rotating in.
Can I ask a question? Can I interrupt you there?
Yeah.
Where'd that white boy come from on Texas's D line, number 15?
Oh, Bill Norton. He came from Arizona. So we got Johnny Nansen, who was Arizona's defensive coordinator last year. Texas hired him to be their linebackers coach.
I remember that. Yeah.
So he brought in two guys from Arizona. Him being one of them. Texas was his third school, Bill Norton. He started off at Georgia coming out of high school as a nose tackle for Georgia, then transferred to Arizona.
Did I miss him playing the entire year?
You must have. And again,
okay,
it's a depth thing. He's not a starter. But as the season progressed, he got better and better. And again, that's another reason why our defense was so good at just the amount of quality players we had, even coming off the bench, guys like that.
I got to be honest. I thought I was going crazy.
Hey, who the heck is that guy, huh?
He's going up against Ohio State, and he's playing really well. And then he kind of got banged up on a play or whatever,
He did.
And I'm like, I don't watch every Texas play. I'll be honest. It kind of nauseates me, right, to watch that much Texas. But I watch a lot. I mean, I got podcasts to talk about, and I like watching football. So at the same time, I'm like, I don't remember this kid like standing out, and all of a sudden now he's a standout against Ohio State.
Yeah,
anyway,
he got better as the season went on. He just got a lot better.
That must be it.
Yeah.
Okay, back to this. I think Notre Dame has the defense and the bodies to be able to do that. Okay, on the Ohio State side, is Will Howard really a national championship level quarterback?
I mean, not in my opinion, but if you've got superstars around you, just go get the job done, right? They won a natty with Craig Krenzel, for heaven's sake.
That's right.
Right? I mean, we've seen.
Was that the overtime game against Miami?
It was. I mean, the fact they won that game, it's when you go back and look, that Ohio State team, they had some dudes, right? Chris Gamble, my guy, Maurice Claret, Mike Doss at safety. But man, that when you look at the rosters and that who was on that Miami team, we're gonna have multiple Hall of Famers on that team. Literally Ed Reed, Andre Johnson. I'm sorry, Ed Reed wasn't on that team. I apologize. The late great Sean Taylor, Willis McGahee, all those guys. Andre Johnson.
What Ed Reed?
Ed Reed was he was not. He was on the team the year before. He was
okay.
But yeah, the late great Sean Taylor, Andre Johnson, Kellen Winslow, just some absolute studs, man. Jonathan Vilma.
Kellen Winslow, one of the biggest disappointments ever in the pros after what he did in college and what he thought he was probably capable of.
Yeah, he blew up his leg his first year, just a few weeks into the season, and he was kind of never the same. Yeah, just a dynamic.
He was a soldier, though, Kevin. He was a soldier.
Hey, listen, man, I love that rant. Because if you think about it, here's the thing. He was like, hey, I only care about this you. I only care about myself. I only care about the you.
This is called the facepalm emoji. If you can't see it if you're listening, I got my facepalm
emoji.
Only Kevin would defend Kellen Winslow's rant about being a soldier. Only Kevin Miller could find some compassion in his heart for Kellen Winslow claiming he's a soldier and he's going to fight. But that's okay. That's why the crowd listens. I don't even know how we're talking about Kellen Winslow. I'm blaming you for bringing that up. Okay, back to this game. Ohio State versus last question I've got, and then I'll just open it up. Can Marcus Freeman get the Ohio State monkey off his back? I mean, they shouldn't have to play him every year, but they have, right? So the last 2 years, he's been beat by Ohio State. The issue's been offensively. They have been physically and athletically competitive with Ohio State, but they just haven't been able to put the points on the board. Conversely, Ryan Day is looking to legitimize his legacy at Ohio State, as it were, right? Which has taken a hit for his inability to perform in big games. Now, he's resurrected that mightily over the last 3 games. However, this is a national championship game now. Who do you give the coaching edge to? Who do you think is going to be more creative, willing to take more risks? I mean, I know who we're both rooting for, Marcus Freeman, but who do you think has the edge?
Well, I think Freeman has the edge, right? I like
how he's willing to
take the risk. However, the talent edge, it's pretty wide, man. And Notre Dame has dudes. They have tough dudes. They have good athletes. But Ohio State is loaded at every position. They're the most talented team in the country. They have better players than even Georgia does. I will take their roster over Georgia's roster, top to bottom. I'll take their running backs over Georgia's. Their receivers, it's not even close. Offensive line for me is a push. Defensive line is a push. Maybe Georgia with a slight edge. Linebackers are about a push. So I'll take Georgia secondary over, at least their corners. But I'll take Ohio State safeties over Georgia.
What's holding Ohio State back from being LSU 2019 or one of those Miami teams or, some of these really, really good teams is their quarterback play.
Yeah, not having Joe Burrow.
Yeah, not having a Joe Burrow, not having even a Baker, basically a Heisman level. Even if he didn't win the Heisman, a Heisman level quarterback.
Correct.
No one's going to confuse Will Howard, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback with his team.
He's exactly what Georgia and Alabama had for years when they were winning national championships.
They won the Natty with Jacob Coker at quarterback. Alabama did.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
100%.
They won it with Greg McElroy. They beat you guys with Greg McElroy.
Exactly.
And you look at McElroy now, and you can't even imagine a scenario where he played college football.
Yes, and not just played college football. But yes, started on a national championship team.
Yeah. So, I mean, the formula, as much as it hurts OU fans over the years where we had amazing quarterback play and Heisman Trophy winners and runner-ups and all of that stuff, it's a good defense, a good running game, and have some outside talent that can stretch the defense, and you're gonna put yourself in a position to win a national championship.
Yeah, you give yourself a chance, a really good chance at that.
And I think we're right. Okay, so Notre Dame, Ohio State, 8.5. Okay, Kevin, on the year, you are 43, 43-1. This is the last game we pick for the 24 season. This is your chance to go be a winner or be a loser. All right? I hate to put it all on one game for you, but this is it, dude. I lost that chance. I cannot be a winner. I can only be a loser. I can be less of one. I am 42, 44-1. Still, honestly, not that bad, if you ask me.
For those that season so far.
For those that listen to the Boomer or don't listen all that much to the Boomer Bevo, maybe it's your first time, maybe you don't listen to all this much. We pick every OU Texas game each week on the spread. And then we pick the 3 other best games of the week. So it's not like we're picking Jacksonville State versus some rant. No. We are saying these are the 3 best games. SEC, Big 10, Big 12, AC, whatever it is. So I feel like 42-44-1's a pretty good record picking those games. I still admit that I am Porter Mosering this by losing. However, you have a chance to be a winner. 8.5 point spread to Notre Dame as the underdog. Ohio State is the favorite. What do you got?
I've got Ohio State winning and I've got Ohio State covering, but I think it's kind of like the Texas game where it's a late, it's a late cover.
Well, I want to go opposite of you because I'm just trying to give Notre Dame some mojo. I'm saying Notre Dame.
I hope so.
I want to.
Okay, so you think they're going to cover regardless?
I'm going to say they're covering. I don't know if they're winning, but I think they can keep it within a touchdown.
Again, if they could run the ball well, which Texas couldn't do, they can run the ball well and hit some shots. By running the football well, it just allows them to control the clock and keep Jeremiah Smith and Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson and Emeka Ibuka, Carnell Tate, and G. Scott off the field.
I know. Isn't that crazy? You could just keep throwing out names for Ohio State. It's
Brandon
crazy.
Ennis. Yeah, they got more dudes just waiting in the wings. We got to deal with that. College football has to deal with him for 2 more years. Jeremiah Smith, by the way.
It's unbelievable. Maybe he enters the portal. Here's the deal. I thought Notre Dame did not commit enough to the run in the first half against Penn State. I thought that they tried to pass it. I don't know if they were trying to catch Penn State off guard or if they were just trying to complete some passes to then open the run up. I think they've got to commit to the run early. Even if it doesn't pay off early, I don't think they need Riley Leonard out there trying to sling the ball around in the first, because I think the Ohio State defense is a little more talented and explosive than Penn State's. Although Penn State's is very, very good. I just think Ohio State has that opportunistic feel. And I think it just needs to be, like you said, ball possession, time of clock, all that kind. Just batter them, and just try to start grinding them down. Because you can grind Ohio State down. Texas had them ground down. Texas had them ground down in that fourth quarter, and that's what running backs who aren't as physical as Notre Dame's running backs.
Correct. Yes, that's the difference really between Texas and Notre Dame is the talent they have on the field at running back right now.
All right. So that's our picks. We will be back next week to find out how we did. That game is on Monday night. Kevin, kind of got some time here now. Well, you know what? Let's thank our sponsors before we transition over here. Sponsors. Our number one sponsor has been, and hopefully always will be, Brown O'Haver. They are located in Moore, Oklahoma. They are a public insurance adjusting firm. That means they work for you, the policyholder, not the insurance company. If you've had a loss to your home or your business from fire, wind, theft, tornado, you want to call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. They will adjust the claim for you to get you more money. Call Brown O'Haver today if you've had a loss to your home or business. Kevin, I don't know if roofing crews are going to be on top of roofs next week when it's 4 degrees outside, but if they are, what roofing company are you hoping to see on top of those roofs?
Yeah, John, you got to give our friends at Pioneer Roofing a call, right? If you're having some issues with your roof, or if you're just curious, hey, we had a hailstorm recently, I wonder how my roof is doing. Give Pioneer Roofing a call. They'll go out, give you a free inspection, let you know if you need to file a claim or if you don't. If you do need to file a claim, they can help you throughout the claims process, get you all taken care of. Pioneer Roofing, 405-549-2712.
All right, let's take a look back at the season that was for Oklahoma and Texas. And I kind of want to float back and forth between the two schools, kind of keep the conversation dynamic, right? Just because it was very different seasons for these teams. Let's start with Texas. We'll give them the honor of starting since they won the Red River Shootout this year. Texas went 14-3. Very simple question, Kevin. 14-3, college football semifinal loss, SEC championship game loss. Was this season a success? Yes or no?
Yes. It was absolutely a success.
Look, if you think about it in terms of college basketball, you made it to the Final Four.
Correct.
You take a Final Four season every single year. You never, ever, ever poo-poo a Final Four season. Oklahoma back in 2016 with Buddy Hield made it to the Final Four and got their dog kicked by Villanova. You can't look back at that and say that was a failure. You made it to the Final Four. I agree with that in Texas. They made it to the Final Four. That's the Texas question. Now, let me ask you an Oklahoma question. Oh, you went 6-7. Second losing season under Brent Venables. Is Brent Venables' tenure salvageable at the University of Oklahoma?
Yes. It's salvageable. Is it likely? I don't know, but it is salvageable.
Do you think that Oklahoma is doing the right thing by giving him another chance this year?
I think so. I mean, it's so tricky, man. I think that you guys would have been justified if you would have moved on. I think you would have been justified if you say, listen, we have a standard here of winning or at least competing for championships, and we haven't done that. We think it's in our best interest to cut our losses now and move on. I think you would have been completely justified in doing so. But I know how well liked Coach Venables is, and I still think there's that glimmer of hope that you guys have from what happened in 23, beating Texas, finishing the season 10-2. I know you talk about the schedule, and it was a weak schedule overall, but 10-2 is still 10-2.
Yes.
So I think based on that hope there that you're going to give it one more chance to just do your due diligence and see if it works.
Back to Texas. You had 3 losses, 2 to the University of Georgia, 1 to Ohio State, who is playing in the national championship game. What was the gap for Texas between Texas and those 2 schools that you lost to?
Yeah, it's a good question, a fair question. I feel like with Georgia, there's still a level of physicality that Texas needs to ascend to be able to beat teams like that. I think that was really the difference in those games. And really the ability to finish drives. I think against both of those games, we moved the ball very well against Ohio State and against Georgia. But once we got down into the red zone, it's that old bugaboo that we've had for really most of Sark's, not 21. We're pretty good in 21. But in 22, the last 3 seasons, is just being able to finish drives with touchdowns. And plus, those are the only 2 teams that I can definitively say have a better roster than Texas.
In the first game, in the Georgia-Texas game 1, happened in Austin. I feel like physically y'all got punched in the mouth, to your point, and didn't really recover that whole game.
Yeah.
It was almost shocking.
Yeah, it was an eye-opener. It was an
eye-opener. And to be fair to Texas, you hadn't played anybody, which includes an Oklahoma team. You hadn't played anybody that was hitting anybody like that. That was really, for all intents and purposes, your first SEC game. And then it also happened to be against Georgia.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, in the second matchup, I thought you knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And the intensity level was there for Texas. And then that's when the tactical aspect came into play, right? So in game 1, it was physicality and athleticism that's hurt, right? Or struck you right in the face. But I felt like that was remedied by the SEC championship game. But then that's when you started to see the tactical pieces, which is what Sark and Quinn should have been so good at this point in their combined careers, if that makes sense, right? These are 3 years together, offensive coordinator and quarterback. And it still felt like against Georgia and then even against Ohio State, I don't think y'all were out physical. I thought you were going to be out physical by Ohio State. I thought there were times you were out physical, especially in the first half. But really, for the most part, my God, you hung in there. You're right there. You held a very prolific offense to, at that point, 21 points. Where I thought your deficit was just in the tactical with what should have been probably one of the best play callers, if sometimes we call him the best, and a 3-year starter in that same system. I felt like you got a letdown.
Yeah, they didn't get it done in those moments, especially the second Georgia game. The first Georgia game, again, coming back to the offense, the turnovers, giving them possessions that started. They had 4 possessions that started deep in Texas territory. Texas 39, I think the Texas 31, Texas 30, and then the Texas 13 is where they started drives at in that game. You have no chance of beating anybody, especially a team as talented as Georgia. So, yeah, it's just kind of interesting, right? Last year, we made the playoff, and we lost that game because we really couldn't cover their receivers, and we couldn't get any pressure on Michael Penix.
To be
this season,
I think it's more the pressure than was the coverage. Your coverage was there.
The coverage there, but
I think it was the pressure and the ability of guys like Roma Dunze to make really competitive catches.
Correct.
And those dudes are in the league now making very competitive catches. But Anyway, go ahead.
But so this year, it ended up being the opposite. I knew our secondary would be better because of a increase in talent that would be on the field, and we saw that. But instead it was the offense. It is disappointing knowing that with Sark and Quinn in year 3 that they couldn't get us over the top. It was the offense that let us down, especially in the red zone.
when I asked you the question of what the gap was, I'm surprised that it hasn't been mentioned yet. What about running back? I know that Blue and Wisner had good years. I'm putting that in quotation marks. They did. They had good years.
Yeah,
The stats were there, but I think you'll agree that there was missing that little bit of like
correct. Yeah,
stud factor. Do you think
yes.
CJ Baxter is going to be able to bring that stud factor back at the tailback position?
Well, we'll see if he's healthy. If he's
Yeah.
healthy, yes, I really believe in him, his talent, and his ability, his physicality. And yeah, he was going to be RB1 for sure. And then we would have had Blue as a change of pace guy, and then Wisner as a cleared backup running back to Baxter. But yeah, with him being out, but I don't. We've had the whole season to
No, I know, but
cope with them being out. So that's what that was a little bit frustrating about that. Yes, it is a reason. I don't use it
yeah,
as an excuse, but it is a reason as to why the running game wasn't as good as it could have been. Not having somebody that they really trusted to punch it in inside the five.
it begs the question though: would Sark have trusted him, even if he had him?
And
Because
it's the thing
I think that's a
about you
real. I
see
think it's a
this, right?
real question. It's a real
These
question with
play
Sark.
callers, and sometimes Sark, while he's a great play designer, sometimes I question his situational play calling.
Yeah,
Just two different things. He can design some great plays, but sometimes in these critical moments, you overthink it. I think he
yeah.
overthinks it sometimes, and it costs us. It costs us against Georgia, and it certainly costs us against Ohio State there.
Back to Oklahoma. What were the biggest? What was the biggest factor to Oklahoma's struggles? I'm gonna give you a list. You can rank them or just talk about them or however you want to do it. But what were the biggest factors to Oklahoma's struggles? Injuries, offensive coordinator, quarterback play, running back play, or schedule.
Okay, I mean, obviously, all of these played
Yeah, well, yeah.
a point of that. But if I have to pick one, I think it's comes down to the uh, the offensive coordinator. I mean,
I think so
at no
too.
point this season could I ever tell what you guys were trying to do offensively.
Except against Alabama.
Yeah, correct.
That was it. The only game.
Yeah,
I mean, Joe John Finley was our offensive coordinator for 5 games, and we only had that identity in one game.
yeah,
I
correct.
agree.
Again,
I,
before the season started,
the injuries. Look, the injuries didn't help. To your point, we had an entire year to cope with them, but they didn't help. But I'm sitting here going, I don't know what I saw that would have indicated even if we'd have had those dudes, we would have been successful moving the ball. Because we had a lot of them against Temple and we didn't move the ball very well. Why were
yeah,
we going to
it
move it
looked
very well
weird
against a good team?
from week one. It looked off. It just looked off. And again, when we did our season previews, my concern for OU fans was the fact you had a very young, inexperienced quarterback paired with a kind of patched together offensive line. And that's already a recipe for, I won't say disaster, but at least for struggling a little bit. And then once you get the whatever design of the offense that you guys got, combined with the injuries at receiver, the lack of production from the running back position, and then that's when you end up with just a perfect storm of a disaster, just a recipe for disaster.
Do you think in this short amount of time since the end of Oklahoma's season, so just over or just under a month, I guess they played on the 27th, so maybe not even a month yet. But in this short amount of time, has Oklahoma done enough to address these issues? So they've hired Ben Arbuckle, offensive coordinator, got John Mateer at quarterback. They've secured offensive line guys, added a couple offensive line guys. Do you think OU, from a roster standpoint and a coaching standpoint, have made enough changes to overcome what plagued us in 24? Or
Well,
is
I
it
think
to be determined? I don't
well,
know. What do you
obviously,
think?
yeah, clearly it's to be determined, but I do like the Ben Arbuckle deal. I like the John Mateer addition. The roster that I'm not sure about. You're taking a flyer on multiple FCS guys, and it's a huge jump, right? Even going from Group of 5, Texas brought in Trey Moore from UTSA, and he had 15 sacks at UTSA. But you go to bump up from playing in the American Conference to the SEC, and he didn't get his first sack until I think week 7. Now he ended up finishing the season great. He ended up with 7.5 sacks after not having any first 6 games. But it just took a while to adjust. So you're just hoping that these guys that you brought in from Kennesaw State and Arkansas Pine Bluff, that they can elevate themselves to SEC competition and do it quickly before it's too late, before the season really gets difficult and you have a tough schedule.
We got Michigan week 2.
Yeah,
we got Michigan week 2.
They have a lot of questions too, by the way. I mean, with Michigan, real quick on them, right? They finished the season well, but they lose a lot because despite what they lost from the championship team, they still have some dudes defensively. The 2 guys
and their running backs and some running backs and their 2 running backs. I think they lose both of them too, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, both their running backs are gone. 2 stud defensive tackles. I mean, absolute studs, and a really good edge player, and the best corner in the country in Will Johnson. He's the most talented corner in the country in Will Johnson. So they lose a lot too. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay, back to Texas. Quinn's legacy. We talked about this last time. A little bit of Quinn's can you give me a little bit of Quinn's legacy, and then just a little bit of forward looking? I know this is a recap, but you're losing what have been some studs on the offensive line. So a little bit about Quinn's legacy. Not too much about Arch. We'll talk about him in a minute. Quinn's legacy, offensive line's legacy, and kind of what you see from that going forward. And then also maybe a little wide receiver composition. Can you continue this? Is wide receiver the one position where you really can build from the portal every year? And will you be able to do it again?
Sure. First off, starting with Quinn Ewers, right? For me, his legacy is being the quarterback who led Texas out of the wilderness, right? When you got to think about it, man. After Sark's first year, we go 5-7, have a huge meltdown in the second half of the Cotton Bowl against OU, which I know makes you feel good just hearing that. Awesome for you guys. It was. And then kicks off a 6-game losing streak, finish the season 5-7, year after year 1. So it's like, okay, what? There's any momentum you had is gone. What are we going to do? All of a sudden, Quinn Ewers hits the portal. We go and get him. It gives you some hope, right? Kind of what you guys are feeling now with John Mateer. You have some hope. So he comes in. He's young. He's kind of thrown in there as a starter. He wasn't ready to be the starting quarterback at Texas. There's no way he's ready to be that. But, takes his lumps, shows signs of promise. We finish the year 8-5. He comes back. He gets better. The team gets better. Win the Big 12. Go to the college football playoff. Now, again, this is just 2 years after a 5-7 season. We didn't play in a bowl game. This year comes back. Again, we play for the conference college football playoff yet again. So for me, he's a guy who helped us get out of those dark ages into being what I feel is hopefully going to be an annual championship contender. Are we going to win a natty soon? I don't know. But I think we're going to be in the mix. I think we'll continue to be in the mix. And a lot of that is credit to him, right? He suffered with injuries, never complained, always toughed it out. I think it was impossible for him to live up to the expectations that Texas fans had, or just the national media had for him, given his high school rating, which is based off of only a junior year evaluation. But yeah, I'll always, be thankful for him and what he did. And I think he sets us up for the program to be elevated even more.
I think he was a really, really good college quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think he showed improvement, especially from year 1 to year 2. year 3 and year 2 and year 3, he's about the same guy. I don't know that there was a lot there. There's outside of the Arizona State game where he almost single-handedly won the game for you in overtime on one throw, followed up by another one for a touchdown to Gunnar Helm. I don't remember too many games where you're like, he's the reason you won.
Yeah.
I can think of some where he's the reason you lost, but I can't think of very many where he's the reason you won. Now, that's not the worst. That's not the worst thing to be when you're a good college quarterback, i.e. Will Howard, i.e. Riley Leonard, or any number of the guys that we've seen this year. You know, he was good. He's really good. I think that there was just something in him, and maybe it was the development, maybe it was leaving early, maybe it was the pressure. It's just something that kept him from making that jump from good to great.
Yeah.
And it's just an indistinguishable thing, right? Like you just don't really know what that was. Is it Sark? I don't think it's Sark, right? Is it just I don't know. I just feel like he had an opportunity in year 3 to really elevate his game.
Yeah.
And it just never happened. And I don't think that's unfair. And I'm not even like dogging him. I'm just saying, I don't know. He's kind of an enigma. He's kind of an enigma of a quarterback, you know?
He is, for sure. But like I said, before him, we were horrible. The program got better with him being the quarterback, and I think he deserves a lot of the credit for that happening. And like I said, he leaves us in a much better spot than we were in when he came to Texas.
Who is more beloved at Texas? Sam Ehlinger or Quinn Ewers?
Oh, Sam Ehlinger.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy with the amount of success Quinn had? 2 playoff appearances,
correct.
A Big 12 championship, and
not this man. You know where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's Quinn all day, every day. Right? But yeah, it's just a personality thing too.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys.
Ehlinger had the Baker personality.
Correct. People like that stuff.
Yeah, I know people like it, but he didn't have it. At least Baker backed it up.
Yeah, but you guys like Baker. But you guys like Baker more than you like Kyler. You like him. I'm not, know.
Yes.
Right? You like Baker more than you like Kyler.
Yes, 100%.
I personally think Kyler was better. I mean, Baker was great. I mean, he's historically good college quarterback, but man,
if I one college football game to win it, everything else being equal, I take Kyler Murray.
Yeah, same.
Now I don't know about the pros. I might reevaluate that.
Yeah.
At this point in the pros, because Baker's turned out to be a better pro than Kyler. I don't think that's a big leap.
You know, Kyler before that injury, though, I like where he was headed.
Yeah, he's not there now. All right. Speaking of quarterbacks, perfect transition. Let's take a step forward into the future. A little forward looking here with the time we have left. Oklahoma's going to have a new quarterback, Arch Manning. I'm sorry. Texas is going to have a new quarterback. We've seen him before in a couple games. No surprise, Arch Manning. Oklahoma will have a new quarterback transfer, number 1 transfer player in the portal this year, John Mateer, Washington State. ESPN came out with the SEC's projected starting quarterbacks. Really quickly. Bama, Ty Simpson, Arkansas, Taylor Green, Auburn, Jackson Arnold, Florida, Lagway, Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, Kentucky, Zach Calzada, LSU, Nussmeier, Mississippi State, Blake Shapen, Missouri is Bo Pribula, OU's Mateer, Ole Miss is Austin Simmons, South Carolina, Lenora Sellers, Tennessee, Nico, Texas Arch, A&M, Marcel Reed, Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia. If you had to put them in order, or in a order, where do you put Arch and Mateer in a rankings of these quarterbacks?
That's tough. I think you have to put them somewhere in the middle, right?
Who's the best quarterback in the SEC coming back?
I guess
you like Lagway. You like Nussmeier, right?
I like Nussmeier. I love Lagway's talent.
Is
Love it.
Lagway number 2?
I might put Lenore Sellers.
Okay,
I like him
Lenoris,
a lot too.
and then Lagway.
I think so. Let me pull
Okay,
up
so
the
that's
list.
1, 2, and 3. Um. Okay, now it's listen. I like the Austin Simmons kid at Ole Miss. That's really only based on one drive I saw against
Yeah,
Georgia.
we've seen one drive.
So I know that. I'm not immune to that. That's a very, very, very small sample set with which to gauge somebody. But boy, that kid looks big and strong and accurate. And he's being coached by Lane Kiffin and all the things that go into that. I'm not excited about Blake Shapen. Didn't they have another quarterback? Didn't Blake Shapen get hurt and they had to go with the other
He
guy?
did.
And then
Yeah,
he
they
transferred?
went exactly. And I know they liked him. Michael Van Buren. I was a fan of him.
Yes, you were. I'm not.
Levy liked him a lot. I mean, he's the reason why Michael Hopkins got a late offer. Because Jeff Levy wanted Michael Van Buren to be the quarterback in the class at OU.
We like that kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a name that I think would have been a guaranteed top 4 3 games into last season.
Okay.
But now seeing the body of his work, I'm not sure where we put him. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nico
Iamaleava. No way is he a
Iamaleava.
top. Thank you. No way is he a top 4 quarterback right now. I like Arch and Mateer ahead of Nico. I like Arch and Mateer ahead of Nico. I did not see enough from that kid to put him in the top 4. Gunnar Stockton.
I don't know, man. Tough guy, clearly. Dude got knocked out. Literally, his eyes were rolling back for a second. He held onto the football after he got destroyed by Andrew McCourt. So he's got that. He's a tough dude.
We can't trust. I mean, Taylor Green will make some plays, but then he'll do some stupid stuff. He's a redshirt senior, so it's like the ceiling's been reached, if you ask me. We don't know anything about Ty Simpson. He is the guy that replaced Milroe during Saban's last season when he benched Milroe after the Texas game. She didn't look great against
former 5-star. No,
but he didn't look great against South Florida or anything.
No.
Jackson Arnold. I mean, we like Arch and Mateer better than Jackson Arnold, right?
Yes, talent is still there. Can Hugh Freeze unlock it? And that's a huge question mark. A huge question mark about Hugh Freeze.
Why does the Zach Calzada name sound familiar to me?
It sounds familiar because he was a former quarterback at Texas A&M.
Oh, but did he
go
to
was their
Incarnate
quarterback
Word or something though?
He went somewhere like that, yeah.
Okay, that's right. Well, I don't trust him then.
No.
And Bo Prebula in Missouri, I don't have a lot of trust there.
I don't know anything about him.
Okay, you got Marcel Reed and Diego Pavia.
We like Pavia, right? I mean, he's a tough guy. He'll
like him?
Some wins.
Do you like him more than Archer Mateer?
I don't like him.
I don't think so.
And
you like him more than Arch?
No. I said I don't like him more than
Arch. Okay.
And when it comes to Mateer, I'm a big fan of his talent. I just want to see how quickly he can adjust to the SEC competition coming from the group of 5.
Okay. We've got number 1, Nussmeier, number 2, Lenoris, number 3, Lagway. Are you prepared to put either Arch or John Mateer at number 4?
Yes.
Arch? You like Arch better than Mateer? Or are you not sure? You do.
I'm not sure. I'm going to go with Arch just because of the immense.
That's fine because he's your guy. He's your guy. That's cool. And okay, so now at 5, look, I don't know. I think Mateer has played a season and has an opportunity.
He's got experience.
He's got an experience, and his legs are going to create defensive problems, I hope. Like, I'm not ready to. I think him and Arch, though, could be neck and neck, right? I don't think it's a clear. So, but is it okay if I put Mateer at the 5th best quarterback, or do you want Stockton or Pavia or Marcel Reed? I mean, do you really trust them over Mateer?
I would take Nico over those guys just because.
Would you take Nico over Mateer? You would put Nico in over Mateer? Listen, dude, Nico did not have a great.
He did not. No, he did not. That passing game was not there this year for Tennessee, and thankfully,
look, dude,
they were so good at running the football.
if Oklahoma capitalizes on those 2 fumbles, it's a different game. Do we win or not? I don't know. Who knows? Whatever.
If you capitalize on one, if you get 10 points out of those 2 drives,
are you
it's
kidding me? It was a ball game. People were trying to Tennessee shut it down in the second. Tennessee didn't shut down anything. Tennessee just flat out looked like they did the rest of the year, right? I mean,
that offense, the offense they run, man, it can get shut down. The game plan is there for shutting it down, and you guys ran it.
Okay, so listen, we had Josh Heupel as our offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
this was the Tennessee offense was very similar to how OU's offense was operating under him, where just long stretches of nothing.
Yeah,
and he can put up some numbers when the competition's not good, but when it's like for like on a talent scale, roster scale, it's not like Tennessee they beat Alabama, but they beat them defensively. They didn't beat them offensively.
Yeah, they got the rush, and they just got after Milroe with their really talented defensive line.
Okay, so you want me to put Mateer or Nico?
Yeah, you can put Mateer.
Okay, and then you like Nico after all those other guys?
Correct.
Okay, so this is what we got. Preseason, I ain't going to go through the rest of them. The rest of them are kind of all the same. Nussmeier, probably the Heisman frontrunner.
Who knows, man? Archer's going to get the buzz just because of his name.
Okay,
we'll see. But yeah, he's a candidate for sure. He's going to put up insane numbers in Brian Kelly's system.
If Lenora Sellers, who's only a redshirt sophomore, right? Yeah. If Lenora Sellers gets any kind of development, that dude could be really, really, really good.
Yes.
Like his body type, he's maybe not as big as Cam Newton, but kind of Cam Newton-like, I think.
Yeah, I
that's.
think he's 6'3", 230. That's pretty big, man.
Do you watch Special Forces on Fox? You seen this show?
No, I've seen the trailer for it during the football games. I saw Cam Newton was on there, or at least going to be on there.
No, we watched it. We watched the first 2 episodes. We watched the first 2 seasons too. This is season 3. They take semi-famous people and put them through Special Forces boot camp, and they got to survive, and they do. But I will acknowledge that when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, man, this is some pretty legit stuff.
Yeah,
like jumping off of boats onto helicopters and grabbing it like thing and having to crawl up on it and doing some water stuff where they have to. So
some commando like stuff.
Yeah, I think it's pretty legit. I really do. I think it's pretty legit. And they've had some names like Dwight Howard was on there, maybe last year. So anyway, this year in terms of athletes, Landon Donovan's on there.
Oh wow!
Right,
interesting.
Probably our best, probably U.S.'s best soccer player ever, right? He's the best goal scorer.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's been quiet in the season so far. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. He's not a very drama-filled character. He just kind of goes about his deal. But the 2 other athletes that we would know are Cam Newton and Golden Tate.
Oh, okay, wow, okay.
Those could be the 2 weirdest dudes in the world. Golden Tate is an odd man. He does weird things. He says weird things. He's very, the only word is like immature, but I would even go as far as to say juvenile.
Interesting.
Like he has like a middle school level sense of humor. Okay. Like where farting is funny to him, or so, you know what I'm saying? Like just very, it's very weird. I did not know. Didn't know Golden Tate outside of playing at Notre Dame, and then didn't he play for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, he played for Seattle.
No, you're right. But you definitely played for Seattle. You're right. But he's in a helmet. You don't know how the guy acts. He's different. Cam Newton is exactly who you think he is. He's ginormous. Even some football players, when they're not in pads, you're like, that dude looks
like a regular dude.
Not Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a mountain of a man, a sculpted specimen.
And he doesn't look like a quarterback. It's like,
no,
that's your quarterback? What?
No. But he is absolutely as arrogant as you'd expect Cam Newton to be.
Yeah.
And these guys are doing a good job. Listen, if you're just looking for something fun to watch, kill some time, special forces, it's just fun. I mean, it's fun to watch people kind of suffer a little bit, because there'll be some like random actors and actresses. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this hard. And it's like, okay, you've seen the other 2 seasons, right? Like, this is the crap they make you do. Like, why are you surprised by this situation? To me, that kind of always is funny. But anyway, Cam, I don't even know how. Oh, because we're talking about quarterbacks. Whatever. I kind of think that Lenore Sellers could be a Cam Newton-like figure. He might not be as big as Cam. Who else would he fit? What other mold am I thinking of in the SEC?
Oh, man.
He has that style. Whatever. And then Lagway just has to stay. Lagway just has to stay healthy.
Right.
Lagway stays healthy. He could be the best quarterback in the league.
Talent's there. Yeah. You want to check out our schedules for next year?
No. Sure. I don't. Yeah, which of these quarterbacks do we have to play? Let's see. We play Nussfire. We play Lenore Sellers. You play Lagway. This is again what I'm talking about, though, with your schedule, right? You're playing Lagway, but you don't play any of the top. You only play 1 out of the top. I guess you play Mateer based on so you play 2 out of the top 6. And we have to play 4 out of the top 6 quarterbacks.
Well, that'll flip. Things go in circles. We'll get all those same teams year after next. So, let's take a quick look at this. I'll pull up Texas first.
One of many looks at this schedule.
For sure.
Ohio State's week 1.
Week 1 in Columbus. So, not sure who will be playing quarterback. We just know he'll be very talented, and he'll be throwing to a very talented group of pass catchers. Including Jeremiah Smith.
Carson Beck's already off the list, right?
Yeah, Carson Beck's at Miami.
And Quinn is declared for the pros.
Yes.
Is there any other person out there that I'm missing that would come in the transfer portal?
Oh, that would come? No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so.
San Jose State's a win, UTEP's a win, Sam Houston's a win. Those are terrible 3 non-conference.
Well, I think Ohio State. Oh, you're talking about Sam Houston?
I'm talking about all 3. San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I don't know what ours is going to be. Maybe I'll say the same thing.
Yeah, let's wait till we see yours first before you judge too harshly. But again,
what are the odds of you guys having 2 losses before you play Oklahoma?
I don't know. Pretty low. But who knows? Florida's gonna be a good team. I don't know
that they're that low.
Yeah, I mean, we'll
at
see.
Best, Ohio State's Ohio State could be coming off a national championship game.
They're going to lose a lot now. They are. I mean, obviously Texas is losing a lot, but they're losing a lot too. They have a new quarterback. They have a whole new offensive line. Their defensive line is going to be gone. Their linebackers. They'll have Caleb Downs though. They'll have him back. Lathan Ransom's gone. So we'll see, man. We'll see how the rosters look.
Look, Kentucky's terrible. Mississippi State's not going to be any better. Arkansas, you get them at home this year, and you get A&M at home. I mean, listen, dude. You could afford to lose to Ohio State, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with it being a non-conference game, the Florida game is going to be tough. Obviously, the Cotton Bowl, we all know what that is.
Short of the FCC championship. Now that you've seen this schedule before, anything short of the SEC championship game is a failure, right?
Maybe. I mean, I can see how the roster looks. I can see how the roster looks and how the roster looks to everybody else. Right? Going to Florida, going to Georgia, going to be tough. I expect a lot of these teams to be better. I think A&M will be better too. So we'll see.
Oh, dude, A&M will be what A&M is. Come on, man.
Maybe.
A&M will be what A&M is. I wish – I don't mind the schedules, but I wish there was a little crossover so that we could, like, compare and contrast how we do against other teams.
Yeah, I get that. Anyway,
Um,
let's see OU's real quick.
yeah, pull up OU's. Oh, Illinois State. Yeah. Temple again. We got to go to Philadelphia.
Why?
At least it's
I mean, it
at
doesn't
Lincoln
matter. It's Temple.
Financial.
It's Temple. So who? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not playing them on campus.
Kent State. Did we take any of Kent State's players, or did we only take Kennesaw State players?
I just remember Kennesaw State, but
We do have Michigan, but you're right. There's a lot of questions. At best, for them, they're starting their true freshman quarterback.
I don't see how they don't start him.
But coming into
Yeah, it's a
Oklahoma,
tough ask for a true freshman. I know he's crazy talented, but with no experience, this would be likely his second start. It's a tough ask for him. You guys have some experience coming back defensively too, so that's a winnable, very winnable game for y'all.
The problem is I think Tennessee's winnable, except now it's in Neyland. I do think we can get Ole Miss. I'm worried about that South Carolina game very much.
Well, yeah, I mean, real quick though. I don't mean to cut you off, but
sure.
Can we talk about this game here?
Oh, we'll beat Auburn.
I mean, no, it's just gonna be so wild, man. Seeing Jackson Arnold start at quarterback for Auburn on your field. That's so weird, man.
Does Hugh Freeze though have enough?
I mean,
can he turn Jackson Arnold into what we expected him to be?
Can he unlock his talent? I don't know, man. I don't trust Hugh Freeze at all. I just don't. And what great quarterbacks has he developed over his career?
Yeah,
honestly,
I agree.
Numbers and some points, but
outside of when he was at Liberty.
Yeah. Yeah, so at Ole Miss, I mean, they had some good offenses, but they never had a dynamic. Bo Wallace was okay, but
good Bo and bad Bo.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Kent State, that's nothing. I mean, you got Illinois State win. I think Michigan. I mean, it's a toss-up game, but I think you'll be favored. We'll see how the roster looks. Temple, I mean, obviously, I don't even know who the coach is. They fired Coach Stan Drayton, so I don't know who their coach is. Auburn could be a good game. It's just going to be an interesting game, but I think you guys can get after Arnold. But this one, you have to win this game. Can't lose Auburn.
Have to win it. Have to beat Auburn.
Obviously, Kent State. I mean, obviously, huge win, huge game here. This is going to be tough too, going to South Carolina with the Lenora Sellers.
Oh yeah, no, that game scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, Kennard's gone, but Dylan Stewart's back.
That game scares the crap out of me. Ole Miss and Tennessee, I feel like are teams that we can compete with.
Yes.
Alabama.
They're replacing a lot. Ole Miss is replacing a lot here. They lose some really good players.
Alabama is the one. They're the question. Like, I think we should beat Missouri. We should have beat them last year. And I think we should beat Missouri this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Missouri, they lose. The quarterback's gone. And Luther Burden is gone. Theo Weiss is gone. So they're replacing a lot and having to come on the road.
And they lost when they lost with Neri, right? Williams Neri went up to.
Yeah, he went to Nebraska.
And so then you've got so you get to close with 2 home games, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But dude, listen, the biggest game for Oklahoma is still going to be Texas. Let's face it. It's the greatest rivalry in sports for a reason. Right. And you know, we talk about Venables needing to make the playoff. We talk about him needing to go 9-3 or whatever. I don't think you could afford to go have another loss to Texas, especially in the manner in which the other 2 losses have occurred.
Yeah, exactly. You can't lose. You can't get blown out. That's the thing, right? I mean, how does the rest of the games look? How do you play in the rest of the games? You can't go, 6-6 with a blowout loss.
You can't go 6-6, period.
Yeah. So,
you got to go 9-3. You have to go 9-3.
9-3. So even 8-4 is not acceptable.
It's not acceptable to me
with this schedule.
Because I think you've got 4 games in the non-con that you're going to be favored in, and you need to win, including Michigan at home.
But let me ask you this: which of these games do you think you guys are the underdogs in?
Texas, South Carolina,
Okay.
Bama, depending on where Tennessee's at. And I don't know. How good do you think LSU is going to be?
I have no idea. It's hard to know what to think of them with their
Listen,
roster. Their passing game, they always have great receivers, right? They're like Ohio State in that
you have
regard.
to beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Correct.
And win your home games. Okay?
Yes.
You beat the
Can't
teams you're
lose to
supposed
teams
to
with
beat
lesser
and
talent.
beat your home game. So that means, okay, maybe we lose to Texas, maybe we lose to South Carolina, and maybe we lose to Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay? Here's the deal. We have to beat either South Carolina or Tennessee on the road. Right? If we were to lose to Texas, let's say South Carolina and Alabama, that means we have to beat Ole Miss at home and Tennessee on the road.
Yes.
Or but you win the games that you have at home and you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And I'm sorry, this is the University of Oklahoma. That's not a big ask.
No, it's certainly not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable.
And if we do that, we're 9-3.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is right on the edge of the playoff.
You're in the college. You're straight in the mix of the college football playoff discussion.
Just like Ole Miss, Alabama, and South Carolina were this year.
Yeah. The problem again, Ole Miss. You guys can't have that one inexplicable loss.
No, we can't lose to Auburn.
Cannot have that. You can't.
We can't lose to Auburn. Can't lose to Missouri.
Yeah, can't lose this one.
No, you cannot lose those two games. Or one of those two games and expect
and you got to beat Ole Miss this year.
But 8-4, Kevin. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. Find somebody else.
Yeah, I think he keeps his job if he goes 8-4 with this schedule.
Oh man! All right, there'll be plenty of time to talk about that in the offseason. Okay, real quick, and then we got to go. NFL. There's 4 games left, or 4 teams left in the NFL: Rams, Eagles, Commanders, Lions. And the AFC, it's Texans. 8 teams. 4 games. 4 games this weekend, 8 teams. Rams, Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Texans, Chiefs, Baltimore, Buffalo. Games I'm most excited about, Commanders and Lions. I want to see Jaden Daniels against the Lions. That dude. Look, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is probably the best quarterback in the league right now in terms of everything he can do. But I think Jaden Daniels is really close and a better passer.
He's been incredible as a rookie this year. Really poised, just can do so many things, running it and throwing it.
Washington,
have a great career.
They never punted against Tampa Bay. 0 punts against Tampa Bay.
That's crazy. Yeah. And this kid's not afraid of anything. I told you I was a fan of his when he was at Arizona State. So it's been great watching him develop, being at LSU with those superstar receivers and what he's done in the NFL so far. He's going to give Detroit a run for their money big time. I think Detroit does have a better team. I think they're the best team in the NFC, maybe even in the NFL. But I think he's going to put on a show. It's going to be fun to watch.
Baltimore, Buffalo, probably the game of the weekend, I think.
Absolutely.
This is a monumental matchup between just 2 great quarterbacks. They're not even young quarterbacks anymore.
Man.
These are quarterbacks in the prime of their career looking somehow to unseat Kansas City, but they've got to get through each other first. Buffalo had the bye last week. Baltimore with a convincing win against Pittsburgh.
Actually, Buffalo did play last week. They played against
Buffalo
Denver.
That's Broncos. Right. It felt like a bye week.
It really did, yeah. Tough ask for a rookie quarterback to go into Buffalo and win a playoff game.
I keep forgetting they have an extra wild card team now. So they play
only one bye now.
Well, either way. And the games I don't care about is Texans Chiefs because I can't envision a scenario where the Chiefs don't win. Maybe I'm wrong. And then Rams Eagles. So again, this is
a lot of fun too.
America is going for the Rams. So we'll see if they are
Real
going to be
quick,
America's team this year.
have you paid attention to Lamar Jackson's stats, his stat line this year?
Go ahead, enlighten me.
Okay. He has 4,172 passing yards. He has 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Excuse me?
And
41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
I think I remember watching a Good Morning Football segment where they broke down those 4 interceptions and they showed them. And 3 of them hit the receiver in the hands and bounced up.
Isn't that crazy?
Like they weren't, none of the 4 were on him. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. Oh, also 915 yards rushing. He's already the all-time leading in rushing yards from a quarterback in NFL history.
Okay.
In 7 years. He's only 7 years in.
Look, I think he's fantastic. Now, I have been on the record for saying that he can make mistakes at the wrong time. He hasn't done it this year, clearly.
Yeah, but he's not going to be judged on anything but what happens on Sunday.
The previous 6 years,
next few weeks.
The previous 6 years, he's had some moments where it's cost his team the game.
He hasn't been great in the playoffs.
Do you think he's outgrown it? Is this his year?
I think it is, and a big reason for that is, first of all, he's just gotten better.
Could be Derrick
Having
Henry.
Todd Monken in there as an offensive coordinator has helped him out tremendously, but it's because of Derrick Henry. It's not going to all be on him. If you look at some of these rosters that they've had, the skill talent position, besides Mark Andrews, has been great. The rest of those guys, the receivers, who are these guys? Who's the guy you can throw it to, on a 3rd and 7, say, hey, we need a first down. You got to go get us one.
Yeah.
Right? They've never had that guy. With Derrick Henry, it just takes everything. You saw the game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh game plan, they run a zone read, and their game plan was just to crash down on Derrick Henry every play, which is cool when he has the ball. He's just faking it and running it for 10 yards a pop. It's just a weird game plan. But I think this week, though, they ran a lot of the read option with Derrick Henry against Pittsburgh. I think this year Buffalo is a little bit small on the defensive line. They're quick.
You think they're just going to line up and run it?
Correct. I think they're going to put them in the pistol, and they're just going to turn around and hand it off. And they're going to run it and run it and run it and run it and keep Josh Allen off the field.
I've said this 100 times, and God willing, if we keep this podcast going, I'll say it at least 100 more. Nick Saban lost the 2013 Sugar Bowl because he did not continue to give the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's unstoppable, man. Yeah. He busted out. What was it, a 65-yard touchdown run? I forget how long it was.
He was a true freshman. And he didn't have the pop that like an Adrian Peterson had.
Yeah, he didn't have that kind of speed.
But my God, you knew he would. There was nobody tackling him on Oklahoma's team, and it's like inexplicably they go away from Derrick Henry, and you're like, well, thank the good Lord, because just give the ball to that dude. And this guy's been in the league for 10 years, and they're playing longer seasons now than they used to, right? Like 17-game seasons, and he looks great.
He gets better and better. It's crazy. He's had a ton of carries.
Of course, I love Mark Andrews on that team. But Isaiah Likely, another good. Talk about just a dude that can go help him get that 3rd and 7.
And when you can play 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, man, I mean,
with Derrick Henry, it just sucks him in on that play action, right? I mean,
correct.
whether it's the zone read or straight drop back play action,
correct.
Either way, when you're doing it with tight ends, it is just so hard not to believe they're handing the ball off.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
real quick, back to the Steelers.
1,900 yards this year for Derrick Henry.
1,900 yards. Did he really? That's amazing. Back to the Steelers just real quick. I know you probably love Tomlin, but is it time to make a change?
Oh, no. I mean, you have to consider it. Because, I mean, he hasn't won a playoff game since, 2012?
Yeah.
It's a long time, man.
Oh, we didn't even talk about your Cowboys. Your Cowboys, too. No McCarthy? We have to talk about this.
Which, I mean, listen, you want to get rid of Mike McCarthy, fine. I do question the timing of it.
Why?
Right?
What difference does it
Why not
make?
just do it right after the season?
I think there were good faith. I think there were good faith negotiations to try to keep him.
Okay, so you think they actually wanted to keep him?
I think they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
I think Jerry wanted to get him on the cheap. That's my thought. Is Jerry is like, we want to keep you, but you haven't done enough for me to pay you.
Yeah,
but I don't want to. Yeah, but I don't want to go through the hassle of it, finding a new coach. And now he's ultimately got to go through the hassle of it. I don't think it hurts the Cowboys to get a new coach. 5 years is a long time to have a coach.
No. I'm fine with it too. Yeah.
Prime?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Let's do
it, man. Let's do it. Why not? Why not? Unless you get like Ben Johnson or somebody, the coordinator from the Lions,
as a Cowboys fan, any interest in a Mike Tomlin? Do you think a Mike Tomlin changes the vibe or not? You think Mike Tomlin is just who he is?
Maybe I think he could change the culture, but some of his scheming and stuff. I don't know how involved he is with the X's and O's at this point, but some of the game planning things with them is weird. Like I hated that scheme they had against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to defend the zone read. We're not going to defend the quarterback run at all. We're just going to attack Derrick Henry. Dude, they got Lamar Jackson out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have Prime to see what we can do. At least it'll be fun. Because you don't want to be bad and boring.
The only thing is, Shedeur gets drafted 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, he's top 5 for sure.
Which goes to who?
Yeah, I think Cleveland, Giants, Carolina, something like that.
Oh man, listen, if you're a Shedeur fan, you do not want him to be drafted by Cleveland.
Oh no way. I mean, I'm trying to see if they'll try to pull a Eli Manning. All right, here's the draft order: Tennessee 1, Cleveland 2, New York Giants at 3, New England at 4, Jacksonville at 5, Raiders at 6.
If you're Shedeur, the best landing spot would be New England with Vrabel.
Yes, which they're not going to. Because they just drafted Drake May. They just drafted Drake May last year.
No, you're right.
He actually showed some flashes.
He was okay.
Yeah,
he
showed some flashes.
You're right.
I would believe in Drake May if I was.
You're right. I forgot about Drake May. You're right. 100%.
And Jacksonville's not drafting him because they still have Trevor Lawrence, even though there are a lot of questions there.
The Urban Meyer thing screwed Trevor Lawrence.
It did, but we are 3 years out of that.
Well, that's fine. Jacksonville's a bad team.
Well, yeah.
I don't know, man. Listen, you're right. Dude, if you're Shedeur and you got the power to go, no, I'm not signing with you guys.
Draft me number 3. He'll go to New York. You got Malik Neighbors there, who was an absolute star as a rookie receiver. These LSU guys.
No, believe. I don't know how they've been that way for years, Kevin. Years.
They have. They've gotten 13, 14 years with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Obviously, the guys on the national championship team, Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and then Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. I think both of them were in the top 5 in receiving yards as rookies. Then they got Kyron Lacy, which his off the field stuff. Did you hear about that?
No, what'd he do? Something stupid?
Yeah, he's alleged to be involved, the driver, in a hit and run crash that caused the death of some 67-year-old former Marine.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, and he.
Dude, you would rather
hit through traffic. You know how these kids drive, man.
You'd rather hit an 8-year-old girl in a car than a former war vet. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as the public perception goes, I'm not advocating either one of them, but you go against the military, you're a host. Like, you're screwed.
I don't even know if he caused the accident. I don't even know if he was physically involved, but him swerving through traffic caused other people to swerve and collide. So they didn't even know it was him until, they had to go and piece through it. This happened a few months ago. But
I didn't see
together. It. Yeah, Kyron Lacy, very talented guy. So we'll see what happens there.
All right, Kevin. Big weekend for NFL. Of course, the national championship game. And then we'll be back to recap it all next week. Kevin, Have a great week. Hey, it's in Oklahoma. Even if you're in Texas, stay warm this weekend. Drip your faucet. It's going to be cold, but enjoy the football. Boomer.
Okay.